Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode. I've actually totally lost track this time. I think it's 10. Isaac,
That would have been my guess too, Dan.
this is probably episode 10 of the Mousetrap podcast, joined as always by my co host, Isaac Hardy,
What's up?
and a very special guest. We had to have him on after some exciting current events, Charlie Parsons. Charlie, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Carter. Thank you for having me tonight.
Good
Thrilled,
to have
thrilled
you.
to have you. Isaac, if we could get onto our agenda,
Let's just dive right in.
we usually do interviews for our Bella Chopped episodes, and we don't have time for a Charlie interview because if you're watching right now, you can see that the first item on the agenda is what with three question marks and three exclamation points because that was my reaction upon seeing this insane trade. We're going to talk about it, and of course, we have our recap, power rankings, picks, a couple other trades to go for, jam-packed episode. Anything from either of you gentlemen before we jump in?
Dive right in.
Dive right in. Isaac, pull up this monstrosity. I should be able to get our faces out of the way now. I think I figured it
Yeah.
out. I'm going to read
So
it really fast in case
okay.
y'all listen to this. Three-team trade: Drake, Evan, Charlie. Drake gets Justin Jefferson. He gives up Ricky Pearsall, a third, a first, and a second. Charlie gets Garrett Wilson, Ricky Pearsall, third, first, and third. Evan gets a first, a second, and a second. So only picks for Evan, and he sends out Garrett Wilson and a third. Um, Isaac,
I, for, my
go
first thing
ahead.
is
I can see you want to
I
say
just want to
something.
know how this worked out. I mean, I'm surprised Evan made a trade. I didn't realize he was that involved in this league. And then a three-team trade, first I've ever seen on Sleeper. So I'm just curious, kind of, do y'all have a little group chat going on where you texting people individually? Just kind of, how did this come to be?
Yeah, so what happened was I put Jefferson on my trade block, and I think Drake approached me. And after looking at Drake's team, I didn't realize how horrendous his wide receiver situation was. And I was like, this guy needs a decent wide receiver. So at first, I texted you about it, Isaac, because you sent me
Hmm.
a trade also. And Drake
Yep.
was just emptying out his picks. And around the same time, Evan put Garrett Wilson on the trade block. I texted Evan. Evan said he wanted picks, and I was like, I'm just gonna cut out the middleman because the
Mm,
ultimate plan was get a bunch of picks from Drake, take them to Evan, and I was like, let's just get Evan in here.
mm.
But yeah,
Nice.
that was a little more difficult to pull off than I thought because I was telling Drake, I said, you aren't allowed to get Justin Jefferson as a contender in the league and keep all your 2027 picks because he has yours, Carter's, and his. And he was like, yes, I can. It says it's going to cost you to win right here because he's not going to
Mm,
win the league without a good wide receiver.
right.
His wide receiver room is awful. Not anymore
So
though.
I got another question before we start analyzing this. So I know like my offer I think was George Pickens the first, a couple seconds, and a third. I think I understand Tucker offered you neighbors. I think straight up for JJ. I'm just curious, what appealed to you most about this particular trade? Why this one from Drake instead of some of your other offers?
Yeah. So in the wise words of Cam Ward, we kind of suck. But I'm not going to say his exact wording for Carter's sake. Um, but yeah, I wasn't expecting to be 0-4.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just kind of like, I was like, if I suck, I suck. So I was like, I'll get a little younger and, you know,
Yeah.
I think Drake and I have the only rivalry in this league. So, in order for me to stay relevant, I'll stay relevant through Drake's success. So, and I did beat
Okay.
him. I beat him this week. I think. No, I
You
think I
did not.
lost.
You did not beat him.
It was an embarrassing loss actually. It was by like 40
Oh
points.
yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, I only lost by 50. So,
Yeah, that's all,
the
which is
rivalry's still there,
that's
but
basically a win, if you think about it. Yeah, I appreciate you keeping it PG, Char. I feel like the best way to analyze this is to go team by team, Isaac. I don't know if
Hmm.
you have a
For
better
sure.
way to approach this. Char, one quick
That's
question, like 30-second answer. I don't remember if you said this already, but like, did you know that you could do a three-team trade in Sleeper? Because I wasn't really aware of this. Who first figured
yes.
this out? Was it
And
like a eureka moment? How'd that happen?
I've been wanting to do a three-team trade for a while just for content and the meme of it. Um, Doing it on my phone, I had to put my phone in the fridge because Sleeper app on mobile is awful. And my phone got so hot, I had to lay it down for a minute. I had to put it in timeout.
Yeah, that's how
And
mine reacts when I play Bloons TD battles on occasion.
been
I
there,
guess
so true.
We can start with Drake. So I'll read this out, and then Isaac, I guess I'll get your analysis. I know maybe Char's a bit biased,
Yeah.
though he can still have some insights to contribute. But Drake gets just the one asset, but it's Justin Jefferson. He gives up Ricky Pearsall, a 2026 third, 27 first, 28 first, and 28 second. So four picks, two of them firsts, and Ricky Pearsall for Justin Jefferson. Isaac, your thoughts on Drake in this trade?
Yeah, Ricky Pearsall's good, right? He's wide receiver one out there in San Francisco right now, but he's had some injury issues this year. He got shot, which isn't really on him, but missed some games last year, missed some games in college. So there's just maybe, some question marks around him. Certainly an upgrade, with Justin Jefferson there. Ricky Pearsall's got a chance to be good, but I don't think it's the lock by any means. The first is interesting to me. At first, I thought, oh wow, Drake really got away with a steal here. But that's a 27 first and a 28 first. And, with a contender, his least valuable first would be this year's first because we know he's good this year. We don't know what he's going to look like in 2027, what he's going to look like in 2028. And so that's what really stands out to me is I'm like, kind of high risk selling your future first like that. I mean, I think his team's built to succeed and could do well, but you never know what happens. And so for me, that was just the interesting thing. I think overall, and we can talk more about this trade overall, but I think this is a pretty fair deal for Drake. It makes sense. It's a good trade. His team got better. It's meeting his goals. I think kind of this key word I'm going to keep bringing up as we analyze these trades is just direction. Like, do you know what your team is? Is it going to win? Is it going to lose? Are you resetting for a year? What's your goal? And I think Drake very accurately analyzed his goal. I want to win now, and he made a move to do that. And I think he did it really well.
Yeah, I'm curious. Char talked about the logic of his side. I'm curious, Isaac, what you think about Evan giving up four or getting four picks. One of them's a first, the rest are seconds, and he gives up Garrett Wilson and a third. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Garrett Wilson's low key been quarterback resistant. It doesn't matter who's throwing him the rock. He's done really solid. I mean, not elite, but pretty solid. He's a little touchdown dependent, but he does well. Um, I would have loved to have gotten two firsts out of that, although I will say the 2026 pick from Char is probably going to be early. No offense, Char. So that's like the 114, or excuse me, like the 14th pick, 15th pick. So it's like not really a first, but it's close. And then it's Drake's 2028 first, which is you never know. So I don't hate it. I just don't love that he's not getting actually any good assets in the immediate future, right? The best asset is until 2028. So that kind of boxes him into a long-term rebuild. I don't hate it for Evan either.
I kind of felt like this was pretty fair-ish on all sides. It's a lot to analyze.
Mhm.
Char, is there anyone you feel like got fleeced or good vibes all around?
I think when I went into this, I was trying to make it as fair for everybody. I kind of agree with Isaac looking back on it now. Evan did uh his thing in the talks where he doesn't want players because he was supposed to get Pearsall and Jameson Williams, and he was like, I don't want players, I just want picks. So
Mm,
okay, so we gave him what what we were willing to, I guess, which were the trimmings of what's probably decent.
yeah.
I think I probably came out with the better picks of it all
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
like what you got. Oh, no,
with
you
Garrett
go.
Wilson and Garrett Ricky Pearsall if he doesn't get shot again.
Yeah, I'm high on Garrett Wilson. I think, I mean, yeah, he's been better with shaky quarterback play, maybe even than JJ has. You didn't give up any firsts, you got one. It's the kind of thing that I'm not sure how, like, keep trade cut would feel about it because I think JJ's value is still so high on there. But I'm really high on Garrett Wilson, and you got good picks. You got Ricky Pearsall. I don't hate your side of it at all.
Yeah, I think the term they use in like Dynasty is the idea of down tier. Like you move Justin Jefferson is of course a wide receiver a tier above Garrett Wilson, but you moved down. You're losing maybe a few points a game, but you also get a first and Ricky Pearsall. So yeah, I really like this trade future, honestly.
Yeah. Let's move on because I think we're gonna have to take less time on some of our other segments, which is fine. I think the trade was
Yeah.
definitely the big news, but we got our recaps here. Some, in my opinion, shocking results this week. Like this, there were some games this week where I was like, I think some teams really changed direction. I think week four could be kind of a turning point. Isaac, you beat previously undefeated Tucker by 40 points. Talk about it.
Dude, I literally don't know what to do with my team. I had Joe Flacco in at quarterback. He scored 3 points and a running back in my super flex, and I did this. So like I don't know how I did this, honestly.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll mention every game, but I just want to hit some highlights here. Nixon beats me My team's kind of questionable. Two solid teams. Neither team went off. Grant wins and maybe is good now against Austin. That's an interesting one. Drake beats Charlie. Yeah, your team scored 87. I guess this was kind of the moment where you kind of decided, maybe it's time to switch up what we're doing here.
Yeah, with Cleveland's tight end, he was pretty good last year, not doing too much. Justin Jefferson actually performed to a degree. I think I just kind of mismanaged my team this week. Uh, I think I might have lobotomized myself for some reason and said, "Heck yeah, Cooper Cup, it's revival, it's the comeback." And then for some reason I had Jameson Williams and the super flex, and I forgot that I didn't realize Brock Purdy was healthy, and Justin Fields is so hit or miss. I wouldn't have started him even if you told me in the future he had 30 points. Um, so
Yeah. Weird week. I know. So I moved him up a little bit. Isaac, a little spoiler, but you moved Grant up a lot in your power rankings. He's become one of the most interesting teams. So I think we're going to talk about him. So real quick, let's just hit TJ. Gets his first win of the season, highest total of the week, 163 to 123 from Chitty. What did you see from that game?
I just think it's a tough break for Chitty, man. I mean, he got the unction. He's had a couple of these tough losses where he's put up a bunch of points and then just loses. He's 1-3. And, it just feels like it's starting to get to be a pretty big hole to dig out of, Like Charlie and Evan, of course, are out, but if Grant's trying, all of a sudden that pathway to the playoffs is looking really, really tough. So, but Chitty seems to be having some exorbitant asking prices for some of his players. That's so one of the game that interests me though is Evan scoring 128 down there, which would have won him most of the games this week against Logan, of course, Logan's team, which I'm really high on. So I understand why he's trying to sell. That max PF really kind of puts the pressure on you. Like if you're not winning, you got to get rid of your players fast before you start stacking up too much of a max PF and you get the 104 versus the 101. So
Yeah.
that's just an interesting thing to keep our eye on. But let's go ahead and move on to our power rankings here.
Yeah, I want to say one thing real quick, just kind of sympathizing with Chitty. I also started Jalen Warren in a league because his game was early. I did not realize. And I don't know if this is exactly what Chitty did. We'll talk about it tomorrow. But in Chopped, I started AJ Brown the first 2 weeks. He was terrible. Benched him in week 3. He was great. Put him back in week 4. He was terrible. So it's been frustrating. I sympathize with Chitty, but I am very happy for TJ getting his first win, which brings us to our power rankings.
Yeah, let's move through just kind of our bottom maybe four really quick. So we both got Evan down there. He said it himself. He doesn't want players he wants to pay because I feel like not much more to be said down there. We both then go, you go Tyler, Charlie, 10, 8, 11. I go Charlie, Tyler, 10, 11. No offense, Charlie. I feel like you would probably agree this is you're towards the bottom of our power rankings.
yeah, you're all good. I
Um,
just learned that if I swipe on my screen, I can see what y'all are seeing. So I've just been
nice.
watching y'all talk this whole time.
And
I'm
then
glad you figured that out. Yeah, do you think like 10 or 11 is that fair placement to you, or have we missed the
Man,
mark?
yeah, I think I wouldn't put myself at the bottom, because I think I still do have like some potential to like maybe win a game here or there. I think Evan's team is fair at the bottom because I don't. His team's just really rough. Like I don't. I
yeah,
feel bad for him. He has Baishal
yeah,
Tootin as his RB1.
Yeah. When
yeah.
So
I mean, I don't hate your team.
When 0 and 4 Char is saying I feel bad for him, you're in some dire straits because that is a tough place to be for sure.
Let's talk Chitty really quick here. So again, Chitty's team, the unction just not panning out. AJ Brown, Godwin, of course, came back but didn't do very much. You
Yeah.
got Carson Wentz in that QB2. This is the Joe Burrow injury, Kittle injuries, like kind of hurt
Yeah,
his
Chitty,
squad.
great podcast guest last week. We got a ton of views. I have no desire to talk about his team whatsoever. Sorry, Chitty.
Yeah, let's look at Austin. He's an interesting one. You both have him there at the 9 slot, 2-2. When
Team's
I
just
look at
got a
his team, I
lot of
think,
holes. Like Chig at the
yeah,
tight end is very worrying to me. I don't love Bryce or CJ Stroud. Um, I don't know. It's just he's 2-2, and I just think he's got a lot of problems to solve.
yeah, I knocked him down also because that Lamar injury. If Lamar doesn't play, all of a sudden you're looking at a team that is just really bad.
Yeah.
And so his bench isn't horrible. Like some of these guys, like Higgins, Debo, Juwan Jennings, like he's getting guys who maybe he could package together and get a little something out of. But yeah, I'm not loving Austin's team. Okay, so I'm going to talk Tucker here. I dropped him 4 slots, but I had him second. You dropped him five all the way down to eight. So I'm just curious, why have
Yeah.
the mighty fallen?
No, I could talk about it. So yeah, I put him at eight, which he is 3-1. So in terms of that, not necessarily, but he dropped 93 this week, and it just kind of feels like the fantasy gods have it in for him. I think he even said that in the chat. I look at the team. Obviously, Malik is out now, and when you look at his backup receivers, it is really, really barren. So he's gonna have to figure something out. Like he doesn't really have a second receiver right now. I guess his best option would be like Cedric Tillman, who had 1 point last week. So that's really tough to see. Hunter Henry went off in week 3, and I'm just like, like looking at it, Hawkinson's pretty good. It's really just the fact that Neighbors is out. He doesn't have a second wide receiver. Eventually, Jordan Mason is not going to be playing as much once Aaron Jones comes back. Travion Henderson has been very shaky in the flex spot. So his running back and receiver spots are just pretty weak. I think he's looking to upgrade from some talks I've had, and I think he needs to because that Malik injury, he was already thin at running back and receiver, and now he's really, really thin.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I like his team for a few. Oh, no, you go, try.
if I can add in, yeah, Tucker was one of the guys going after Justin Jefferson, and he was offering me neighbors, and I wasn't willing to completely rebuild and wait for him to get healthy. But yeah, looking at his team, it kind of looks like he's trying to play Grey's Anatomy, man. It's a hospital. There's a lot of
Mm.
weirdos and injured people in his roster.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I've got it from Woes that he's just kind of on the fence. He's trying to make some moves to push his team into back into contention, but he might just have to bite the bullet and turn this into a reset year and try again next year. So let's move on to let's TJ. I want to save Grant for later just because I moved him up so much. So TJ, we both moved up a little bit. You moved him up a bit more than me. Just talk to me through TJ plus three up to the
Yeah,
sixth
and
spot.
and for our fans who are listening, I have TJ at 6, moved him up 3 spots. Isaac has him at 8, moved him up just 1 spot. He scored the most points in the league this past week, and we know he also scored close to the most in the league in weeks 1 and 2. So he's been really, really good. I still have him at 6, so it's not like I'm sold on him as this championship contender. But I just think his team has a lot less holes than most. Like his starters are all really good. And honestly, looking at this league, that's not something you can say for a lot of guys. Something that I was really struck by is how many teams just don't have good running backs. I kind of hope Chase Brown is going to get better. He was decent this past week despite not having a touchdown. He's got some decent guys on his bench. Kyle Pitts has been really good. So I don't know. I just look at TJ and I see a really good starting lineup that just scored the most points in the league. I don't have him as a championship contender yet, but I think he's better than his record, and I think 6 is a fair spot for him.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we definitely kind of have a bottom three, and then anyone in the top nine. I really like think there is some flexibility, maybe not in the first couple spots, but outside of that, there's a lot here. And so my thing with him is, he's 1-3, which is tough. And like some of these guys, like Khalil Shakir is not going to get a touchdown every week. Puka Nakua is not going to put up 36. So I just feel like he had a lot of guys boom. And I think he's going to come down to earth a little bit, but I think his team's really solid. It's more just his record that had him down there for me.
Yeah, that's
Um, so let's talk you and me, and then we'll talk to two guys we have very differently. So let's just talk my team really quick. I have me up myself at 4. You have me at 5. Just kind of like I mentioned earlier, I don't know what to do with my team. I almost actually everyone on my team is 25 or 26 or younger now. I think someone had a birthday, and it's like both my quarterbacks I drafted have been hurt, so I flexed or I wavered Flacco in, and I win. And I just kind of don't know. I'm like, do I go all in and win, or do I trust Scadaboo and Javante Williams and Pickens? I don't know if I do. So, but I'm winning. I should be 5-0. If I literally started guys that were healthy in my game against Austin, I would have won that too. So I just don't really know what to do with my team.
Yeah, Char, I want to ask you in a second. So I have me at 4, I have Isaac at 5, and then he has him at 4, me at 5. So I want you to pick between our two teams in a second if you're willing. But I do think you have the strangest team in the league, Isaac. It's just super weird. Like you don't really have quarterbacks, but yet you keep winning. You have some really promising skill positions. I think Marvin Harrison's only going to get better. Scattaboo, I mean, 25 carries is insane. I think I'm seeing that for the first time right now, actually. Um, I don't know. I like the team. I think I have me above you just because I feel like I have less problems to solve, even with Tyreek getting hurt. And we could talk about that in a second. But I think if you can figure out this quarterback spot, like your skill positions are really, really solid. I kind of wonder if Javante is ever going to come back to earth and stop scoring touchdowns, but I don't know. It's a solid, solid starting lineup, and I think if you decide to contend, it's not a bad move.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like your roster. A down tiering from Jamar Chase, of course, for BTJ, and then that Brees Hall trade kind of changes the outlook of your team. The soft reload, as you said, your quarterback situation just really hurts and limits you a lot there. So I think your team's solid. With CMC, of course, and Derrick Henry, but yeah, that's kind of my argument. So, Jar, if you had to pick between the two of us, who would you land on?
Man, I think Isaac, I think your 1 through 6 picks are what I would say, and then I would take Carter's 7 through 12.
Mm,
Um, I think y'all, I think y'all have some things right. Just looking at y'all's team, yeah, Isaac, your team's kind of like the monkey's fist, like you're like, man, I hope I get a good pick, and then you end up dropping 150. Um, and Carter's team, we kind of glazed over, but I traded him Brees Hall for who's that guy?
Yeah, and we're gonna
Travis
talk
ETN.
Etienne.
about the trades at the end too, but just looking at it real quick, that trade was Brees Hall, Trey Harris, and a second for Jalen Coker and Travis Etienne.
Yeah, we'll look at that here in a moment.
But
But
answer the
let's
question, Isaac. I think your team is probably higher up than Carter's. I think Carter doesn't know what he's doing, and I think you don't know how to manage your team. Not from like a you don't know what you're doing, but you're just kind of like, where's all this success coming from? You
Right.
know?
I think we're both kind of directionless. I expected to be losing and I'm winning. Carter expected to be winning and he's losing. Let's talk about our two guys. We'll maybe just mention we both have Logan and Drake 1-2. Both teams are really solid. Drake just picked up Justin Jefferson. Logan's 4-0. Um,
Yeah,
I'm
we
more
can glaze
interested
over
here in
that.
yeah, I'm more interested here in talking Nixon and Grant. So I've got Grant at the 3, Nixon at the 7, Grant jumping up 8 spots. You've got Nixon at the 3 and Grant at the 7. So we have an inverse there. So let's talk Nixon first. You bumped him up all the way to number 3. Just walk me through that.
Yeah, so pulling up Nixon's roster here, he's 3-1, which I know you might say, well, Tucker is too, and you have him at 8. But obviously Nixon won this past week. He picked up a good performance, and I actually think the real weakness with his team. We said Nixon's team is really good, right? He's got Josh Allen and Bo Nix. They both went off this past week. He's got A Chain and Kyron Williams. Running backs are great. Dallas Goddard just put up 21. We said the weakness was receiver. And I think he still managed to win in spite of it, number one. But he had some guys kind of start to figure it out. Like, yeah, Jacoby Myers isn't great, but then off the bench, I don't know if Romeo Dobbs is going to do that every week, but I think you can put him in and feel okay. They were actually throwing to Matthew Golden some, which is a good sign. And then the biggest thing, in my opinion, is he has Jordan Addison, who I just think is actually going to be solid going forward. So I think Nixon has the best quarterback situation in the league. I think his running backs are awesome. I love A Chain. And now that he has some receivers that you can just maybe rely on to get 10, 12, 14 points at 3-1, I like him as a good bet to beat the playoffs. And as I can attest from this week, be a really, really tough team to beat.
Like Nixon's team. My thought though is I don't love Kyron. He's losing a lot of those goal line touches, not getting those touchdowns. So he's been having a down year there at the RB2. Goddard, he had 2 touchdowns and 4 receptions. He's very touchdown dependent. He's going to be hit or miss. And Bo Nix as well has kind of had an up and down year. So for me, that wide receiver hole I think is gaping, and then the tight end flex spot. So I just feel like I'm lower on some of his guys than you are. But let's look at Grant here. So again, I've got Grant at 3. You've got Grant at 7. I'll give my Grant pitch really quick. Move them up 8 spots. So I've got Genty and Hampton in actually one of my redraft leagues, and they both went off this week. And I'm I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, bro. I'm all in. I believe in them. I think they're them. I think his that running back dude is going to be elite. Igbuka, of course, has looked insane. McMillan is doing pretty well. I mean, he got 8 targets last week, and he just got Jamar Chase. So McMillan's going to be his flex. His quarterback situation is painful, but Caleb Williams did have a good week a couple weeks ago, and I think that's the spot he can improve. But everything between the quarterback and the super flex, I love. Um, so that's why I moved him up very high.
Yeah, no, Harold Fannin is definitely a great tight end to be starting right now in the season. Not sarcasm. Char, I want to get your thoughts because I think it's more interesting than me versus Isaac, where we're one spot apart. We have Grant and Nixon 4 spots apart, so I want to get your thoughts in a second. But when I look at Nixon's team, his biggest hole is wide receiver, which I think, Jordan Addison and some guys could maybe help fill. And I just think like Grant's got some promising guys, but he's 2-2. Nixon's 3-1. I think he has way bigger holes to fill. Like the quarterback situation is not good. Even if Caleb Williams is decent, you still have to start one of Cam Ward or Jake Browning, and that's if Caleb Williams is decent. And again, like I don't like Harold Fannin at tight end. He's gotten worse every single week. Think he might have kind of been a bit of a week one fluke. I just clicked on the chopped league, so forgive me. But I just think Grant has some bigger holes. The quarterback situation's bad. The tight end situation's bad. He has some really promising young players. I'd probably rather be him than Nixon going forward. But I just think Nixon's roster is a lot better. I think he has less problems to solve. I like Grant getting Jamar, but he's got to figure out something at tight end and at quarterback before I can put him as a serious contender, top three type of guy.
We're not acting like Dallas Goddard on Nixon's team is freaking Brock Bowers. It's not like that's a strength on his squad either.
You're right. You're right.
Um,
I'd rather have him than Harold Fannin, though. But that's why
okay.
we have an
So yeah,
impartial judge. Char, what are you thinking?
yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm thinking I have Grant's team almost to the T in another league just by coincidence, and they won me this week. So it's tough because the stars have aligned for Igbuka and for Amari and Hampton. They're now starters, and their teams are kind of rolling. So I mean, if they can keep riding the production they're getting as young fresh legs, Grant's team could stay a contender. But looking at Will Nixon's team, I don't know, man. His wide receivers are Darnell Mooney and Jacoby Myers. I mean, yeah, I think if Nixon actually wants to lock in, he's gonna have to make a trade or do something for a better wide receiver. I think Grant's team is probably better than Nixon's at the moment.
Yeah, I think Igbuka
Glad
is
we're in
him. I
agreement,
agree
Char.
with
Two for
that.
two.
I think Igbuka is outstanding. I was actually in some trade talks for him that I don't think are going to work out. I think he's really, really good.
All right, so let's move on to our predictions because we got 10 minutes left here, and I want to talk about those other trades that went down. So I'm
Yeah.
just going to move through these kind of quick. Carter, we
Yeah,
maybe not do
I
them
would
as
I
in
would
depth.
say let's maybe only talk about the ones where we pick differently, which I think is just two of them, and just kind of briefly go over the other ones.
Yeah, so we've got game of the week, Logan versus Drake right off the bat, or 1-2. We both picked Logan there. We got Grant versus Will again. That I guess we kind of discussed this, just our different philosophies. I like Grant's roster better. You like Will's roster better. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add there.
No, I mean, honestly, I know I
Um,
just said let's go over the ones we picked different, but I will just briefly talk about America's game of the week, Logan versus Drake. Really, really good game. But Drake just has some tough stuff going forward this week. And I'll do this briefly. But I don't know, just looking at his team, I'm not 100% sure about all of it. I think it's really, really solid. But I like some of the matchups for Logan, and I do have him at number one. So I'm picking Logan. Wouldn't be shocked if Drake takes it. I am really excited to see how that one turns out.
then we've got me versus Tyler. Of course, both of us grabbing me there. Jaden Daniel was supposed to be back for me, which is just going to be a huge pickup over Joe Flacco. Tucker versus TJ. We're buying the TJ drug, I guess. His team did really well. Tucker is just bit with that injury bug, especially with CD out. I think he's really going to struggle to win any games there. So we both grabbed TJ. You versus Austin. You went with yourself. I went with Austin. Um, Part of my thought is you might have more moves on the horizon with your kind of soft reload. So I'm wondering if the team we see is the team that'll be there on Thursday. And I just, uh, yeah, I think things are not going well for you.
I think you're
I don't
right.
know if you want to, yeah.
No, I mean, I just think looking at it, like now that he has Lamar out, I think we're even-ish at quarterback, and I still would put my skill position guys up against anybody. I'll still think, he's very weak at tight end, whereas I have a lot of good options there. If Lamar was in, I think I'd pick differently. But I'm picking me in this one, and then we go on to America's anti-game of
Loser.
the week. America is disgusted to see this matchup. I'm probably the second most excited for this game, actually, behind Logan Drake, because which team's going to get their first win? Charlie versus Evan. We both picked Charlie. Charlie, do you even want to win this game?
Man, I just it's coughing bomb versus hydrogen baby. I mean, this isn't gonna be a good game at all. So I think I got those two mixed up, but I think that's about a good
Yeah, I don't know. I
that's
don't think it's
that sums up
coughing
the
bomb
season.
and
That's gonna sum
hydrogen
up this
baby.
game.
I think it's coughing baby and coughing baby is the analogy there. But
Yeah, you're
it is
right.
funny because Evan outscored you by a lot last week. But yeah, he has Tootin as his RB2. To me, this is the last week for you. Like, I liked you coming into the season. I had you as a real contender. And every week I've been like, he's not that bad. And now you're 0-4. I think if you can't win this game, it is officially more Jover for you than it already is. This is the
Yeah,
last
I
game.
wouldn't want to be me either, Carter. I don't blame you for saying that.
Yeah, hey, my team's got its
All right.
problems too. Isaac's probably in the best situation here, which is not saying much. But yeah, it's tough sledding out here.
Let's take a look at just these other trades that went down. So we mentioned y'all's briefly. I just want to talk about the Jamar Chase for BTJ. So you gave him all your picks this year, plus, oh wait, he gave you all his picks this year
Yeah,
plus BTJ, and you get Jamar Chase. Um, uh, I like it for you a lot. I mean, BTJ's having a rough year, but I think he's going to bounce back. He showed that he's got the talent. His first, Grant's 2-2, and he's saying, hey, he's going to win now, so he's hoping that that first can get high. But you never know if these rookie running backs come back to earth or whatever. And then Jamar Chase also having Jake Browning throwing to him this whole year hurts his value for this year specifically. So I don't think this is quite the needle moving move just because Jamar Chase isn't quite going to have the year that he's had in the past. But he's only a few years older than Brian Thomas, so it's not like this crazy age reset for him. So I like it for you better. But I think you are going to have to find your direction. If you're moving off, if you're down tiering like this, I think you got to start down tiering in some other positions and with your older vets that you got.
yeah, I'm listening to all offers, but yeah, I like BTJ. Incredible rookie season. He had his highest point total this past week, even without a touchdown. So I think he'll be just fine. Um,
Which was 10 points, by the way. If I can interject, I Grant offered me something for Brian Thomas Jr. As long as Liam Cohen is on the Jags, I wouldn't touch a Jaguars wide receiver.
hmm.
I'm curious, what did he offer?
Brian Thomas, um, I don't know, and like a Shipley's at 5 run and like a 2028 pick, for like
For
Justin
JJ?
Jefferson and Breece
Yeah,
Hall. Um, so yeah, I was very shocked to see that he actually gave you some picks for Jamar Chase, but I think Jamar's probably better than. Actually, I don't know if he's better than Justin Jefferson right now,
tough.
but yeah, Jamar Chase, he's having a rough. I think Zach Taylor's out of there, and until they find somebody to replace Jake Browning, I think you just got a couple of picks in this trade.
Yeah, that's like I think both these guys are in rough situations right now. I'll take the picks. Jamar could be better going forwards. We'll see.
And then we have Carter getting Brees Hall, Trey Harris, and a 2028 second for ETN and Coker, which Charlie, I liked your JJ trade. Thought you came out there. I don't like this one. I would say Brees Hall is more valuable than ETN. I get ETN's doing well this year, but with you being 0-4, I think you should be going for youth. So I don't like you giving up the pick as well. I think if you got the second, I would have liked it, but I think Brees Hall is the best asset here. So giving up the best asset and the pick, I
Yeah,
think is kind of tough, unless
before
you're really high
Char,
on Coker.
real quick, before Char explains his rationale, I just want to say this was payback for when I gave him Brandon Miller and a second rounder for the corpse of Zach Levine. This is payback for that.
That's crazy.
I didn't
Oh
understand
man.
fantasy basketball back then. I didn't get how it
Oh, I
worked.
still don't understand fantasy basketball. I knew I was cooked in fantasy basketball when I made that trade with Isaac, and Isaac was like, "Oh man, I can't hit accept, man. This is gonna hurt." And then he hopped on the podcast with Drake, and Drake was like, "No," and Isaac's sitting there giggling. I'm like, "Okay, I'll remember that."
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
We
So I
got
guess
uh we got 3 minutes left here. Char, give me the rationale for this one.
yeah. So speaking of I know my trades in basketball and football. You guys think I have goober grape on my shoulder, whispering me advice. The logic here, that's not the case. The logic here is Brees Hall. The Jets are here and there. I don't trust the Jets. Travis Etienne, just what I said about the Jaguars. I don't trust their wide receivers, and their running backs have always been good. They just traded Tank Bigsby, and their RB2 is Byshaw Tootin. Just had my furniture start floating saying his name. Trey Harris, ready to get rid of him because he's supposed to be wide receiver three rookie, but now that Quentin Johnson has rubbed off a crystal ball and started catch, he woke up in CD Lamb's body like Freaky Friday, and now this guy's like a wide receiver four. So it's time to get him out of there. I'm a Panthers fan, unfortunately, and Jalen Coker was pretty good last year.
Mhm.
So it's an experimental Jalen Coker pickup, and I need to have a Panthers player on my team to make me care about the Panthers still.
Yeah, I was high on Jalen Coker and then went to IR. Yeah, I like getting the younger Brees. Kind of a sell high for ETN for me, but I think he'll be better for the rest of this season, and maybe it continues. Who knows? He's been really, really good.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all we have.
Thanks for
So as always,
watching.
appreciate y'all
We need to start putting our
watching that.
guest's face in here. That would be a nice thing to do. We have 1 minute and
Yes.
33 seconds left. Charlie, we appreciate you coming on to talk about all these big moves. Any final message for the Mousetrap viewers before you go?
Yeah, this goes out to the Mousetrap audience. A couple weeks ago, I was drawn and quartered through the town because I traded a third round pick in basketball for Jose Alvarado, and I received lashings in our group chat for that. Turns out, even according to Isaac's metrics, that was a good trade. I won that trade, but I ended up dropping that guy. And after that, I told myself I'm not letting anybody get in my head about trades no more. Um, Now that being said, I did trade a NFL or a fantasy football third round for Russell Wilson. He will be getting dropped in the morning.
All right, yeah. I remember putting that into the website, Jose Alvarado, and just being stunned that it said it was
Dude,
good.
that was a good trade, dude. I know ball. I'm telling you, I don't got
Apparently,
Cooper Grape on my shoulder no more.
we got less than a minute. We got to go. Appreciate y'all watching. See y'all for Bella Chopped tomorrow.